Okay, so long before gamification or design thinking were buzzwords, Broadway legend and my own personal favorite, Stephen Sondheim, was quietly designing puzzles and games off the stage as a creative practice. Our next speaker, Barry Joseph, has spent his career doing similar work at institutions such as the American Museum of Natural History and the International Criminal Court, exploring how play can sharpen thinking and build connections. Today, Barry will show us what Sondheim can teach us about why play might be the antidote to today's attention economy. Please help me welcome to the stage Games for Change pioneer and co-founder of the Games for Change Festival, Barry Joseph.
Woo! Good morning, Games for Change! Woo! How are we all doing? Beginning of day 2? Let me hear it again. How are we doing today? Good. Thank you. Anyone else here feeling appropriately obsessive? That's what the New Yorker called my book last December. I now wear it as a mantra, and I think it describes well all of us here at Games for Change. My name is, actually, let's play a game first. I'd like you to turn to the person next to you, whether you know them or not. Share your name and maybe what you do for a living. But wait, let's add a constraint. Oh, hold on. It can't be your real name, and it can't be what you really do for a living. So let me model it for you. My name is Dirge Frankenheimer, and I work for the New York City Department of Sanitation as an assassin. Okay, go. I'd love to hear from one or two people about someone interesting you just met. Is there anyone here who has a loud voice? Anyone with a loud voice want to introduce us to someone they just met? Someone there? If you are willing to share who you just met, please stand up. Scott? Yes, Scott? Stephanie works for the CIA. Thank you very much. Anyone in this half of the room? No one is interested in working as Stephanie at the CIA on this side? Please, real loud, Leo.
This is Melanie.
Melanie?
Works for the New York City Public Library.
New York City Public Library. It's wonderful. It's good for the libraries and all the cultural institutions. Thank you. Whether she works there or not, we know someone does. Now, let's first get the obvious question out of the way. Yes, that's Stephen Sondheim. Lyricist, composer, to many, one of the greatest creative minds of the 20th century. And to others, just God. And game designer, and puzzle constructor, and jigsaw puzzle gifter, and escape room evangelist, and so much more. The Sondheim many of us know and revere from his work in musical theater, produced work I argue as equally compelling as challenging in the space of puzzles and games over his entire life. What I want to do with you over the next 20 minutes is help you to match minds with Sondheim and come away with lessons you can apply in your own game designs. But first, I think we need a warm-up, don't you think? Should we try one of Sondheim's puzzles? Shall we try one of Sondheim's puzzles? That's what I want to hear. That's Games for Change. All right, this is a creation from a 1995 treasure hunt that was designed by Sondheim here in New York City for a fundraiser for the poet Edna St. Vincent Millay Society. The way it worked is you got a sheet and clue, all the answers were numbers. This is all you saw. What's the number when you dial it on the telephone? And this was the image on the sheet. If you think you have the answer, just throw up your hand. What's the number when you dial it on the telephone? I heard someone. What is the instructions? Put up your hand. There you go, in the back. Stand up. What's the answer? Why is the answer 48? That's right, thank you. What's your name? Thank you, Anthony. There's a dial pad. What's the number when you dial it, I-T, on the telephone? The I is where the 4 is. The T is where the 8 is. So why am we doing this right now? What does this tell us? about what puzzle design meant for Stephen Sondheim? Anything come to mind for anybody? Louder, please. Abstraction. Anyone else? Lateral thinking, right? This is something that anybody in 1995 could answer. These were not the phones that people were using in 1995. And I'll reference that in a moment. They were phones that had dial pads. You needed no prior knowledge, no special skills. You just had to be able to think laterally. At the same time, why did he use that phone? Misdirection. He was getting you to not think in your mind about the phone that you knew. And as a result, do a type of misdirection. So it's tricky. So first it's democratic, and then it's tricky with misdirection, but it's tricky but fair. I heard, from a number of people when we got, why it was 48, right? So when you see the answer, it should make sense, right? So democratic, tricky with misdirection, but fair. All right, I think we're warmed up. Let's take a moment to hear from Mr. Sondheim himself and learn how his ludological mind worked.
You just don't see words as collections of letters. I passed under this, when Cinerama first was invented, I passed under the sign that was being erected on Broadway. It said Cinerama, and I immediately thought American. Didn't have to think about it.
Wait a minute, Cinerama
and American are anagrams of each other.
When I see a word, I see meaning. Cinerama, it means a type of screen. But when Stephen Sondheim saw a word, he saw possibilities. This is a map of the territory being the puzzling and playful interests of Stephen Sondheim. From when he was a child growing up here in New York City on the Upper West Side to when he died in his Connecticut home in 2021, he designed, produced, and treasured board games, treasure hunts, parlor games, cryptic crosswords, and physical puzzles. And over the course of creating my book, researching artifacts from these type of analog games and puzzles, and interviewing the friends and colleagues for whom he designed them, it became clear to me what he was doing with them, designing moments of clarity and moments of connection for the people he loved. But that begged the question, how? As a lyricist, one of Sondheim's legacies was his, what we call hat books, an annotated collection of his lyrics. He opened them with this gift, Sondheim's 3 principles of lyric writing. Content dictates form, less is more, God is in the details, all in the service of clarity, without which nothing else matters. But I wondered, did Sondheim ever create a similar list for games and puzzles? Well, no, not exactly. But what we do have are his written instructions, his hints, and the way he mentored other game and puzzle designers to suggest what such a list might look like. And that's what I'd like to share with you now, my interpretation. Sondheim's 3 principles of play. Number 1, generosity, the principle of generosity, which guides us to design games to make the players feel good about their accomplishments. And here's puzzle designer and a friend of Sondheim on the topic.
Just the whole thing feels generous. At one point, another constructor said, when a solver has finished a puzzle, you don't want them saying, boy, the constructor was smart. You want them to say, boy, I was smart, right, for solving it. And so it's sort of an act of generosity to hand someone that little gift of, here's a thing you can solve, I will take you by the hand and get you there, and then you'll have fun solving it. And that makes you feel good about you, right?
Number 2, playfulness. As cerebral as Sondheim's work might be at times, he never lost sight that it was all in fun. He wanted to make us laugh. He wanted to allow us a moment to feel surprise. He wanted us to expect the unexpected. He designed puzzles and games in a way that forced players to step outside of their comfort zone and enter liminal spaces where they have to take risks, explore new roles, and think outside the box. Similar to the way that Nick Fortuno in his opening yesterday spoke about icebreakers, right? And we did an icebreaker. So how does one help people transition into that state of mind? How did our opening name game transition you into a state of play? That was rhetorical, you can just think about it. Okay. Finally, mentorship. In educational psychology, there's a concept called the zone of proximal development. It describes the space between what learners can do on their own and what learners cannot do, even with support. That zone is where educators come in. supporting learners to grow beyond their current abilities, but only through the support of a teacher or peers with more advanced skills. In Sondheim's best designs, he is that teacher. The principle of mentorship then guides us to always challenge our audience to reach their highest level of brilliance while providing them with the resources and required support. Here we'll hear puzzle designer Andrew Parr, who I thought said it best after he was analyzing one of Sondheim's treasure hunts.
Happily tormenting us, but ultimately wanting us to win.
Happily tormenting us. So there we go. Generosity, playfulness, and mentorship. Your job now is to watch for these values in the game designs that you'll now see and perhaps experience. Sondheim and his friend Marianne Madden were familiar with a game called Dictionary. Has anyone here played a game called Dictionary? Hands up. Thank you. In which players write fake definitions of a real word. Once all the definitions, real and fake, are mixed together, the fake definitions compete to be incorrectly selected as the true original. One day, Marianne said, "Why use a dictionary? Why don't we do it out of Bartlett's book of famous quotations?" Thus, Bartlett. In their new game, someone picks an author from Bartlett's, you can see a copy of it here, and then writes down a quote from that author. The other players, hearing only the name of the author and their birth and perhaps death date, manufacture their own quote, adding them into the general pool. The quotes are read aloud, and after a round of voting, the group guesses the most likely to be the original. The true quote is revealed, and all learn if they guessed right or if wrong, which player managed to outwit their friends. So I need 3 volunteers who are going to come up and play this in front of all of us. Volunteers. Adrian, come on up. And Steve, come on up. And Paige, I see you, Paige, come on up. And we're not in an actual home, we're on a stage, so I'll just note there is a clock ticking here. Yeah, give a round of applause, thank you. All right, have a seat, and there's a microphone that was here. Where'd it go? There it is. I'll pass this to you. Uh-oh. Talk into it. Let's see if these audios work.
Test, test.
Hi, please introduce yourself. Tell us your name.
My name?
Yes.
My real name or the
Your real name, your real name.
Steve Isaacs.
And pass you right.
My real name is Paige Danziger.
Hi, I'm Araf Corwood.
Thank you. Why don't you guys hold on to the mic? That'll be your mic. Give a round of applause again for coming up. So, they're seeing the name on the screen for the first time. You can see it down here as well. And what you're going to do is I'm going to give you a sheet of paper and a pencil, and you are going to write down what you think you can convince everyone else on the stage and in this room is the real quote that Wendell Phillips said that got him into Bartlett's. He was born in 1811 and died in 1884. And you're going to write it down quickly again. We're watching the clock. And this is somewhat like a cooking show. It's a little bit pre-baked. I knew who was coming on the stage, but they didn't know what they were going to do when they got up here. I'll give this to you. You can pass these out. Thank you. All right, you'll now each quickly write down something that you think can fool people is better than what's in here. Meanwhile, I picked a quote that I hope no one will pick. Okay? And then when you're ready, just fold it over. Sondheim loved to play and sometimes even design parlor games like this. He would hold game nights for his friends and colleagues in his Turtle Bay apartment here in New York City. Some people were dying to be invited, others were begging to escape. Sometimes the games were literally quite hostile. One is actually called hostilities. Other times they were just opportunities to show your smarts and have fun with your intimates. When you guys are ready, I'm going to take them and I'm going to number the sheets. That way we can reference them by the number, and I will shuffle them. And the way it will work is, I will win if no one guesses mine. They will each get a point if anyone guesses theirs, and they'll get a point if they guess the right one. Okay? So I'm now going to write down the numbers, and when you guys are ready to guess, you're going to hold up your hands. So let's practice. Let's say you think it's number 2. Show what you'll do if it's number 2. Hold up your hand, number 2. Go ahead. We're practicing now. All right, so again, if you think it's number 2, hold up 2 fingers. So we're going to practice now. If you think it's number 2, go ahead and guess number 2. Yep, everyone, all 3 of you. Great, and you guys can join too. Let's say you think it's number 4. You're going to play 2. Hold up 4 fingers. All right, you got it. All right, so I'm now going to read you with my glasses. The 4, but I'm going to look first, because if I have to stumble, you'll know it's not the real one. Okay, number 1, Wendell Phillips, 1811, 1884. I never met a dog I couldn't tame. I never met a woman I could. Number 1. Number 2, I love pizza more than life. I made a pizza hat. Do you like it? Was number 2. Number 3, Mancala teaches us the meaning of life. Number 3. Number 4, the best use of laws is to teach men to trample bad laws under their feet. Number 4. Okay, in a moment, I'm going to ask you each to put up 1, 2, 3, or 4, guessing which one you think is right. Don't guess for your own, and you guys can guess for which one you think is right. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 4, and 4. And I see a lot of hands out there. The answer is number 4. The best use of laws is to teach men to trample bad laws under their feet. And which one did you guess? What number?
I guessed number 4.
Oh, what'd you guess?
I also guessed number 4.
Number 1. And so number 1, I never met a dog I couldn't tame. Who wrote that one? You get an extra point. All right. Let's thank our volunteers. Thank you guys so much for joining us. You can leave the mic on the chair. Thank you so much. You can return to the audience. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Love you. Mwah.
Since most players are unlikely to have ever heard of these random authors, Sondheim once explained, you don't have to be well-read, which I'm not. So what can this game tell us about Sondheim? What comes to mind for anyone? What values do we see from the values we just looked at earlier? Louder? Playfulness. In what way, Leo, is it playful? Different people approach in different ways, there's scores. Thank you. Anyone else notice any other values here? Put your hand up, I can't see. Critical thinking? You appreciate games that get people to playfully think critically. Thank you both. And of course, it's also democratic. You don't need any prior knowledge about who these people are to play. In fact, one of the first times he played it with Leonard Bernstein's family, the daughter who was 11 years old won that day. All right, now, let's look at the game of murder. In 1965, Sondheim had a friend, Phyllis Newman, whose new show had flopped out of town. Don't be depressed, he told her. What can I do for you? And she said, you can throw me a party when I get back to New York City. Make it a game party and make me a new game. So of course, that's all he needed to hear. He went back to New York and he went into a 12-hour creative fugue one night, starting to think about how to modify games of murder that many of us might have played, but he was always modifying them, and that night he figured out how to crack it. And there it is. He typed it up in a 6-page written letter to Herbert Ross. Ross had asked him, how could I run the game in my own home? And so he typed it up for him. And Ross, who had just a few years earlier asked Sondheim to adapt the game into what became a movie. Does anyone know the name of the movie? The Last of Sheila, the only Hollywood movie Sondheim ever wrote. It's a murder mystery that he wrote with Anthony Perkins based on the game. Now, this was a parlor game. It was designed to be done in a house in New York City with many floors and doors and rooms. So obviously we can't play it right now, can we? Or we can, maybe, because in 1982, Sondheim was invited to be featured in a 5-page profile in Games Magazine. Any Games Magazine readers here? Sondheim was a reader from 1977 when the first issue came out, and he saved and collected every one until he passed away. And along with his interview, he adapted the murder game. Should we play it? All right, I'm the host. You're all pretending to be one guest. You're one of 10 people. I shuffle cards. I have 10 cards. I give them out, and you randomly pick card number 7. I now say, look around, see all the other people around you. These are the people listed in Games Magazine and the real people he played with back in the 60s. I now tell you, find the envelope with your numbers. You find envelope number 7. You open it up, and there's a message. And the message says, go to a room and look for a photo. When you're out of the room, someone might try and kill you, so get back as fast as you can. You think we'll make it? Yeah, we do. And we find this photo. Any errors in the images, those are my fault, not Sondheim's. It's a bunch of Scrabble tiles. We then come back, and I say, take your photo and put it on top of your envelope. Everyone do that on the table, and then don't touch them. And this is what's there. 3 people don't have any photos. Why not? They were dead. Sorry. And then I'll say, we have 10 minutes. If you can figure out who the murderer is in 10 minutes, we'll capture them. And if not, they get away. I'll give you guys just 1 minute. But you have to do 2 things. correctly name who the murderer is, and prove it. You guys have 30 seconds. If you have ideas, just shout it out. Who wants to make an accusation? And what Sondheim would often say at this point is, talk out loud. Something you're saying might inspire someone else. Louder? Something like, she likes the person with the gun. Can you prove it, though? Can you prove just because Leonard Bernstein had a gun that it was him? Nope, keep going. Anyone noticing any patterns? Louder, please. Objects, what about the objects? What are you noticing about the objects? There's numbers and there's objects, and the objects have a count. So for example, our envelope, we have 7 Scrabble pieces and we're number 7. Tony Perkins had number 3. Jerome Robbins, stand up, I can't see you. You think it's Jerome Robbins? Why do you think it's Jerome Robbins? So if Jerome Robbins number's 8 and there's only 4 objects in his photo, where did Jerome Robbins get that photo from? That's absolutely correct. Give him a round of applause. Right? How did it feel to solve that puzzle? How did it feel to solve that puzzle? He said it felt good. Stephen Sondheim designed that experience for you. So we looked at what Sondheim did with puzzles and games and how creating moments of clarity and moments of connection were his goal. But I want to leave you with why and what that might teach us about analog play in a digital age. Puzzles pose a challenge. I dare you to solve my puzzles. Games can offer an invitation. Come, play with me. We can combine them together to be, I dare you to come play with me. I push you away, then draw you close. Sondheim used play to invite others to connect with him, but only after a challenge had been conquered, an elaborate test evaluating who might be safe enough to gain entry into his world. He was his own gatekeeper, but the treasure at the end of his challenge was the greatest of all, entrance into the mind and heart of Stephen Sondheim. So, when you design games for another, this is what you're doing. You are asking people to play with you. You are inviting them into your heart and into your mind. And when you do, ask yourself 3 things. What do you want them to find when they arrive? What do you want them to take away when they leave? And how might the experience change you in the process? Thank you. If you want to connect with me today, I always talk over the applause, a bad habit. If you want to connect with me today, I'll be doing a book signing after this outside. I'll be doing a lunchtime Ask Me Anything this afternoon. And you can also drop by the pop-up exhibit I co-curated in the arcade, which is called Video Games, The Great Connector, designed with New York City youth that we take now into local public schools. And if you want to talk to me, but you don't know what to say, just say the words Mahjong. Thanks, everybody.